Christmas is never quite the picture-perfect dancing sugar plum dream we imagine it will be. In the real world, the turkey's on fire, nobody knows what a sugar plum is, and navigating family dinner feels more like entering a war zone than a Hallmark movie. So this year, instead of wishing for the perfect tinsel-coated manufactured Hallmark Christmas that can never be, I'm dreaming of a Fantasycore Christmas. One that's delightful, whimsical, and gentle on both my wallet and my mental health. So in this video, I'm sharing 15 whimsical things to do for a Fantasycore Christmas, filled with cozy cottagecore crafts, festive quests, and moments of soul care and connection. So grab a blanket, get cozy, and let's dive in. Idea number one is to play a journaling game, also known as a solo RPG. If you haven't heard of these before, it's like playing Dungeons and Dragons, but by yourself. Basically, it gives you prompts and creates a world that the story happens in, and then you create your responses that inform how the story unfolds. I've only done one of these before, but I found it was a lot of fun, but I'm gonna try a new one today, and this is called the Hearthlight Chronicles, and this is a festive journaling game. Take a Hallmark movie and make it fantasy. That's the vibe. Also, if anyone has any suggestions on festive, Yule, Christmas themed solo journaling games, please leave them in the comments because this was the only one that I could find. I've completed my prompt for the day and it was really fun. I didn't write a ton, but I filled a page. I was expecting to have a very cozy, low stakes, the Christmas baking has gone awry or something like that kind of story, but that's not what started happening when I started writing. And now I've set up that the town is under some kind of frozen curse, and there's this mysterious tree calling to my character and trying to pull her in, but the townspeople are trying to stop her. I also really enjoyed how they have a little bit of gamification to it where you have to roll a die and that determines the outcome of your action. It was a really great creative exercise. My imagination is now brimming and I feel very inspired and excited to daydream about this world more and get to explore it a little more. Idea number two is to create for yourself a little advent calendar, a little festive prompt every day that has some kind of activity to bring a little bit of whimsy to my Christmas season. I'll actually have the list of prompts linked in the description so you can download it for free if you are interested in doing the same activities as me, but you can also very easily make your own list or take inspiration from my list and tweak it however you like. I already have this little glass jar. This is basically an advent calendar, except instead of each day being numbered, it's just random. Every day I'll pull out a new slip and it'll give me a task for that day. I like this because this way I can make myself an advent calendar without knowing what I'm gonna get every day. So it's random and it's also reusable. I know for myself, if I put things in here that are too much, that are too difficult to accomplish in a day, then I just won't do them. So I'm gonna focus on making the tasks really simple and achievable. This is going to be a lot of fun. Idea number three is something that I really love, but don't do very often because it requires setting aside a good chunk of time, maybe a whole day, maybe a few hours. But on a lovely snowy day, or if you live somewhere where it doesn't snow, just a day that you choose, set aside a day or part of the day to have a snow day and basically imagine that you are snowed in to a cabin on a mountaintop and all you can do is stay in and keep warm. Maybe this is something you want to do by yourself. Maybe you want to do it with some friends, invite some people over, and just have a cozy day in, but really get into the mood of things, really set the atmosphere. Maybe you can do some baking to make the house smell really delicious. Maybe you spend the day cuddled up in blankets. Maybe you treat this as a digital detox day and you act like you really are in a magical cabin in the mountains. Or you could just treat this as a cozy day in and watch some Christmas movies or read a fantasy novel or do some art or crafting, whatever you enjoy. This is just an opportunity to get grounded and take care of yourself. Idea number 4 is to light a candle, literally or metaphorically, for someone you've lost or something that you're grieving. Many of us are carrying around a lot of pain at Christmas time and over the holidays, honoring those who we are grieving and allowing ourselves the space to remember them and to think of them and to celebrate their lives could be a really beautiful thing. I was actually inspired to do this because of a Finnish Christmas tradition to go and light a candle on a loved one's grave on, I believe, Christmas Eve. It's a more quiet and reflective time in the dark of winter. Rather than trying to force everything to be bright and happy, we can also allow ourselves to grieve. Idea number 5 is to handcraft decorations for your home. I love making handmade decor, and handmade Christmas decorations are my favorite thing. So I'm going to be showing you how I made all of these, starting with a popcorn garland. This is literally so easy to make. All you need is some popcorn. You don't want any butter or oil on it or salt or anything. And then you just stick a needle through it, thread some thread through, and make one long, beautiful garland. Next up, let's make a lovely dried orange garland. Slice some oranges into 1/8 to 1/4 inch slices. Pat them dry with a paper towel before baking, and then bake at about 200 Fahrenheit for about 3 to 6 hours, turning them once in the middle. Poke a hole on each side with a toothpick and then string them together into a garland. And you're done. I also love making paper chains like this. I made this out of old book pages from a dictionary that I found in the thrift store. I know I can't bear to tear apart an old book, but a dictionary I can do. So now to make the actual paper chain is very simple. We're just gonna loop our loops through each other. Put a little bit of glue and ta-da! Now we just do that 10,000 more times. And we'll make some paper snowflakes as well, using recycled paper, which I think is fantastic. So it's been a couple of years since I've made paper snowflakes, so I actually had to look it up. For making a square, so fold it over, cut off the excess. Now we're gonna start folding it. I've got it as a triangle. I'm gonna fold it over again in half, and then unfold it, and then over that halfway point, 2 times, 1 on each side. So we've divided it into thirds, and now we're going to fold it back over itself again. Then we can snip straight across, and there we are. We have our 6-sided triangle. This is the outside, this is the inside. I'm going to make it nice and simple. Let's unfold it. It looks kind of like the wheel of a ship, so that's fun. We're just going to make a bunch of these. Idea number 6 is to ground yourself in whimsy by practicing gratitude. So for my holiday gratitude journaling session, I wrote down 5 questions. What are 3 things I'm particularly grateful for this Christmas season? What relationships am I grateful for? What areas of growth am I grateful for this season? What are 15 things that I'm grateful for? And what answered prayers am I living in this Christmas season? Or if you're not someone who prays, you might want to write what wishes or dreams am I living in this season? So I've just finished my journaling session and it was really good. It was really helpful. My favorite question was the last one, what answered prayers I'm living in this Christmas season. I just found it really useful and beautiful to reflect back on how incredibly God has cared for me and how my life has changed so much in a year. Thank you also for being here because you are part of that answered prayer. In this season, when there's so much temptation to compare and to only see what's lacking, we can easily lose sight of what we actually do have. I'm more capable of seeing wonder and seeing whimsy in the world around me when I'm coming from a place of rootedness and gratitude for what I really have. For our next activity, I am going to be replacing some of the art on my walls with seasonal decor. I am going to be sourcing free art from the internet that is not stolen, not just like Pinterest images, free sources of images like Pexels and Unsplash, and finding pretty pictures that feel fantasy, that feel festive and wintry and cozy and magical, and create the atmosphere and the ambiance that I want in my space. And I'm going to be replacing some of the, I'm so embarrassed to admit this, AI art that's been on my walls. Let me explain. I'm not into AI art and I don't support purchasing AI art, but I ended up with a lot of it because I bought some prints on Etsy a few years ago before I was really aware of the whole AI art thing, and since have realized that most of the art that I got when I moved into my home was AI generated. So needless to say, this change has been long overdue. This has been a source of shame and consternation for me for a long time, and I'm so happy with how this turned out. These photographs are absolutely gorgeous. I love how they work together, and they fill my space with a festive, fantastical feeling that I can't get over. Idea number 8 is neither very complicated nor very creative, but still resonates deeply with me, and it is to read a cozy fantasy novel. And if you can find a festive cozy fantasy, even better. So I've just gotten this book and I don't know anything about it. I haven't read any reviews or anything, but I read the synopsis and it's very cute. It's basically like a Christmas Hallmark movie, but make it cozy fantasy. And I'm very excited to read it. I'll let you know how I find it. So far, I'm enjoying it. It's a debut novel, so that means it's the author's first published novel, and it's a little cheesy, but it's also supposed to be a little cheesy. They've done a good job of making me care about the character, the main character, Rowan. Her name is Rowan Midwinter, which is very cute. So I'm excited to read more. If you're reading a cozy book over the holidays, please leave it in the comments because I would love more recommendations. Idea number 9, create a fantastical media bucket list. So whenever the holidays roll around, I always feel a bit overwhelmed and intimidated by just how many movies and books and etc. I want to consume and enjoy. And then the season passes and I haven't watched all the things that I wanted to watch, but I did watch things that I didn't want to watch. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make a little list of some of the things that I'm really excited to watch and read, etc. over the holidays. So recently I've been interested in two things. First of all, rediscovering classics, and I've started reading Shakespeare again, which I haven't read Shakespeare in many years. I'm reading As You Like It right now, and I'm enjoying that very much. And I've also been in the mood for rereading old books that I have loved and studying them, tearing them apart and annotating them. I'm really enjoying that. But it's also just familiar and comforting to revisit some of the books that I read when I was a teenager and really loved and were a big part of why I am the person I am today. And I'm a writer and I, love imaginary worlds and such. And several of the movies that I want to watch are also rewatches. Most of them are, in fact. And there's a few classics that I want to rewatch that I haven't seen in a while, like the Anne of Green Gables movie. So that's a couple of the highlights from my list, but I'm very curious what you are going to be watching and reading over the season. Idea number 10 is to host a medieval-inspired Christmas dinner, a festive party or meal that you share with friends or family, or maybe invite someone you know who doesn't have family around and build community. I find it really interesting and fun to research what people ate in different time periods and learn about food in the medieval times, which obviously covers a wide span of time, and try cooking some new experimental dishes. You can make it a whole event if you like. You can have people dress up, you can play medieval music in the background, you can have candlelight and really make it a fun, atmospheric evening. Idea number 11 is to bake a nostalgic treat that someone else used to bake for you. So when I was growing up, my grandmother would send us a giant box of Christmas treats every year, and a lot of it was handmade treats that she would make herself for us. She lived in another city and we moved around, so we didn't get to see a lot of family over the holidays. But it was always so exciting to receive her box of treats and open it up and see what was inside, and there would always be Rocky Road. So in my head, Rocky Road is very strongly associated with her and associated with my childhood. So today I am going to be taking up the mantle and making some Rocky Road in memory of her. Cheers. Cheers. Idea number 12, visit a Christmas market. This was my husband and I's first time visiting the Christmas market in Osgood, put on by my lovely friend and faith mentor. The space was absolutely beautiful and filled with the works of local artists and artisans. They even had homemade cookies and cocoa for anyone to enjoy for free. It was so much fun, and every time I go to a Christmas market, my spirits are lifted. Not only is it a wonderful way to get in some really unique and thoughtful Christmas shopping that supports your local community, but it's also just a beautiful, festive activity. It makes me feel like I live in a fantasy village and we've all come together to support one another.
Oh my gosh! So many chickens. Yeah, oh, that's...
For idea number 13, I am going to brew myself a lovely cup of hot chocolate. and go all out with the toppings. And then I'm gonna go on a little adventure outside in the somewhat snowy, blustery, cold air, wrapped up and bundled in my coat and scarf and everything. And I don't know, there's something about this that feels very adventurous and a little bit wild to me. Like I'm an adventurer out on a quest and I'm walking to the next village or something or other. There's just something lovely about that strong contrast of like heat and cold and being cozy, but also braving the elements, and just kind of breaks up the routine a little bit. I have hot tea every day and I go for a walk pretty much every day, but doing the two in combination is really fun. And I don't know, there's something liberating about being like, oh yes, I can break the rules and do something different and novel. Idea number 14 is to assign yourself a quest to spread joy. Now, the parameters of that quest can be up to you, but a few ideas might be baking homemade treats for your neighbors, or complimenting a stranger, or volunteering at a soup kitchen. But doing something to help others is not only good for humanity, but it's also really good for us. It helps to have a better perspective on life and not be so focused on our own troubles. There is so much need in the world. There's absolutely no shortage of ways that you can help and do something, whatever you feel you have to offer, to help someone in need. Maybe that is donating money to a charity that you're passionate about, or maybe that is volunteering your time. Maybe that is just doing something small to share kindness in the world. But you can absolutely make a massive difference in someone's life, in someone's day, just by choosing to do something for others. And it makes it a little more fun if you treat it as a quest and an adventure. So I've never really been into Christmas cards, like sending cards out to people, but I love the idea of sending Christmas letters. So this year I'm gonna send a couple of letters to people who I love, friends and family who live far away from me, and just get to sit down and give them an update and ask them questions. And I really enjoy writing, and I love how it forces you to slow down and really think about what you want to say to the person that you're writing to. I also feel that this has a fun fantasy vibe to it. And depending on who you're writing to, if you are writing to someone who shares your love of fantasy and whimsy, you could even write this in a very imaginative and grandiose way, as if you are recounting your adventures from your quests. And that, my friend, is all that we have today. I hope that you enjoyed this list of ideas, and I would love if you shared any ideas that you have of ways to celebrate the season without making it all stressful. And also, I want to say thank you for 20,000 subscribers. That's an incredible gift. So thank you for every one of you for being here. You have made a massive difference in my life, and it is truly a joy and a blessing to be able to share these videos and make art with you guys and talk about creative stuff. Thank you, and I hope you have a gloriously creative rest of your day. Bye for now.